All right, as we always say, what show can go from Atlanta to Peru to Seattle all in one show? This one on a Thursday in hour number 2. So, as always, it's time to go Thursdays with Nico and find out what's going on as we take the tour Major League Soccer, find out about the Conca Champions, and what the man thinks about the folks to his north in Cascadia. So, we bring in Nico Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart, where he's lobbing flamethrowers at Providence and Swedish Bouncy House. No lid this morning, man. You're really rocking and rolling this morning. You're all business. You don't have the lid on or nothing.
That's right. That's right. We're all business today. We even got a new cup here with the Wazoo logo and
Whoa.
what is it? Credit to my son for his efforts and his commitment to the university. So new cup here as well.
So wait, we had it. We had a commitment. So we had a declaration of going through the transfer portal, and we have the son of Nico Moreno going to the Palouse. Is that what we have going on here?
That is right. That's right. He's committed to the Murrow communication program down there at Wazoo. So he definitely hit the transfer portal, and I'm kidding. First year in college, but yes, he definitely has committed to Wazoo. So we're very excited for him, and therefore chose a board that got a nice little cup with the cougar on it.
Absolutely, the way that it should be. All right, so we started our conversation this morning talking about Messi and friends and talking about Vancouver and how, for those of you that have been faithful to Vancouver through the juice boxes through this entire tournament, you have really made a killing. And for those of us who are looking at Messi and friends and going, bruh, what did you think about what happened last night with Vancouver basically grabbing Messi and friends? And we played the play-by-play call of in the 60th minute when Pedro Vite basically sent Jordi Alba into the netherworld with the gate that he gave him there. What'd you think about Vancouver advancing?
Hey, I thought it was a thing of beauty, and not just because it was economically great for me, but just the fact that uh, look, we talked about this here. I talked about it on Monday morning on Loving Scorchers. I thought that a lot of people have been really, I don't know, timid about giving Vancouver their credit and realizing that when you are a team that in MLS is dominating, that they have the best goal differential, that they are tied for most goals at 20 goals this season with Portland, that they have a unit that works collectively as well as they do with look a Jasper Sorensen that has a new fan right here because it wasn't just about getting the guys ready physically, tactically, but also mentally. And I saw a team that had believed that even after going down a goal early in the 8th minute, they had composure. They knew what the game plan was. I thought it was interesting that in the post game conference, Sorensen said, "Look, I enjoyed it, and I think we did a better job at executing our game plan today than we did in Vancouver." He said we were too rushed. In this one, we held the ball. Even when we went down a goal, we knew what the game plan was. And man, that's all credit to the coach. I thought he did a fantastic job at eliminating Busquets, at eliminating the half spaces for Messi to roam on. I thought that he understood exactly what that two lead meant coming into this game, and he took advantage of it. Miami had 12 good minutes, and after that, it was mainly Vancouver for the rest of the game. I mean, in the majority, in an average, they were more effective with the ball. I thought that this game could have been even broader than the 3-1. It could have been 4-5-1. I thought Brian White was stellar, and it wasn't just the goal; it's his positioning, his runs, the way he sets up Sabi for a potential goal in the first half. That doesn't happen because Sabi just wasn't able to put it in the back of the net. Pedro Vite, I've been praising this guy, talking about he should be in the MVP conversation, and he showed up again. It's the way he handles the ball, is his commitment defensively, Kuba's commitment defensively, is Berhalter, which was probably the only bad thing out of this game, is that because of the yellow, he won't be available for the final in this competition. But I thought Berhalter was very good. I just see a team that, with their identity and with their ability to believe in themselves and using the chip on their shoulder of nobody believes in us, they're going a long ways, man. So all I gotta say is that the coach is pushing all the right buttons, moving all the right levers, and with the team that is this unified, this cemented, sky's the limit. I said that on Monday. I'll say it today.
And this is a team in Vancouver, and I went through the schedule where you played 3, you played 7, you're playing 8, and it's February, March, and April, and you're going to be doing the same thing in May, where Jesper Sorensen isn't resting folks. Literally, it is trotting out the same 11. You're going with rhythm. I guess you're making sure that your physios, they're right there and that they're taking care of business. And anybody's got a niggle or a knock, you're like, you take care of it immediately. So they're back out there. This is a team that trots out the same dudes, regardless of competition, regardless of how many days off. And he's just rolling with it. And right now, he's coming up with 7s and 11s at the craps table, man.
Well, I'll push back a little on that just because he did rotate completely for Minnesota. He brought in the big guns there in the second half. He really did, because Vitek comes in the second half. He has a brace. Should have had a hat trick, to be quite frank, against Minnesota. But he sat Ocampo, sat Brian White. He sat Berhalter. Obviously, they came in as well late in the second half. But all in all, I just think that this team being able to do what they're doing is unprecedented, right? They are the best team in MLS in the regular season, and they are in the final of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's never happened. The Sounders have been in this position. Were I think almost last. I think they were third to last when they were in the final. Uh, Vancouver, no, the Impact were there in the final against Club America. They were the worst team in MLS. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, and they're doing something completely unprecedented. And I think it goes back to the coaching. It goes as well, because we got to credit Certini for what he built in terms of those foundations, and a guy in Jasper Sorensen that has these guys believing and completely flying. I mean, these guys understand the task, they get it together. I thought it was cool. And again, it goes back to the mentality of the coach, that he was asked about, playing against Alba and Messi and how that can get in players' head. And he just humanized the entire thing. And he was like, look, my own son has posters of Messi, right? But it's about getting these guys about playing to our strengths. We knew that we had more capability to run. We knew that we could affect certain points of the game. And he just focused on that, right? And then everything else just falls together. Man, I am a fan. Vancouver, to me, will win CONCACAF Champions Cup. To me, they will beat either Cruz Azul or Tigres. I do not care. They have the tools. They have the personality, the character, the ability, the tools. Man, I'm all in when it comes to Vancouver Whitecaps.
It sounded like Winston Zeddemore from Ghostbusters there for a second. We got the tools, we got the talent. I mean, that literally. I mean, well, and then you look at Messi and friends over the last 4 days. The book is out. I mean, you go up 3-1 against Dallas, and then you get the one moment where the ball is shot, goes off of Falcone. It takes a weird spin, gets past Calendar, and that gets everything rolling. Dallas comes back to beat you 4-3. And then you had a 1-0 lead last night, and everybody's thinking, okay, here they come, here they come. And Vancouver took care of business. So 2 times in a week, Messi and friends have been found out, and the tape is out about how to get after them. I mean, I said in hour number 1, I said, I know what the solution is going to be. They're just going to throw more money at the problem, and they're going to bring in, they're going to bring in De Bruyne with Garber bucks and figure out a deal later since they've got dibs on him. When you see Messi and friends now, what do you see?
I see a team that is a year older,
Mhm.
and this is something that we had commented on, and we thought that it was going to be an issue right off the bat. Luis Suarez looks as old as he is, and as old as those knees are, not having that creative finisher kind of deadly striker. It's a huge issue for this team. You saw it against Dallas. Defensively, though, I think that's their biggest problem. You cannot emergency defense every single game and expect results. And I think that's what's been happening with Macherano is that he was able to get so many results despite playing poorly that he kind of got overconfidence. And a false sense of security is the worst thing that could happen to a team. And they got found out, like you said. It's simply about, look, I hate to say it, but Chelo Willat is a good attacking fullback, not good both ways. He cannot defend. Jordi Alba, he's an older type of fullback, so he is not going to have the tracking methods. Against Dallas, Ian Frey, great guy going forward, not so defensively. Martinez, more of a center back than a fullback. I thought that his instincts and positioning was off. So it's all about defensively not being able to do what you have to do and feeling like because you have Messi and you have Leo and you got Busquets, they're just going to magically individually change the game for you. And when you don't have a design system, that's when you start to struggle as a team.
Yeah, basically, it's like, oh, we're going to give up 4, but we'll score 5. You get that kind of mentality. It's like,
Exactly.
you go ahead and do that. All right, I want to turn to Seattle. What's this about Jordan Morrison, another MRI?
Yeah, that was interesting. And to me, it's never good. But long story short, on Tuesday, Brian Smetzer said that after the MRIs were taken, they didn't like them. They were blurry. They were not consistent. They weren't able to see what was going on. So he had to get a new set of MRIs done. Brian Spencer mentioned that they were going to send those MRIs to England to their specialist to just take a look. So all we know is that he won't be available this weekend. If I have to go off of my spidey senses, I'm going to say that Jordan Morris is out at least 3 weeks at the very least. He's had some issues. He's had some tightness. The way he just sat after he makes this huge run there at the end of that game against Colorado was just a bad look. And regardless of whether he is, maybe it's not a severe injury, you got to treat it like a severe injury because the last thing you want is a reoccurring, re-aggravating injury for the rest of the season. So get him right, put him on ice, put him on the freezer. I don't care. Just get him to the best of his abilities while you have a guy like Masovsky that all of a sudden has turned into Luis Suarez of MLS and just 3 goals consecutive times. He's confident, he's committed. Maybe it's the fact that he just got engaged, but the dude is just feeling himself. And he talked to us a couple of days ago, and he mentioned that look, he's been working hard. He's getting more used to the team. Him and Kalani have built a really good rapport. So Kalani's the one that puts that ball for the 1-1, for the 1-0 lead in Colorado. And if that's what's going on right now, maybe you just let that ride. In the meantime, you figure out what's going to be plan B. Osasa de Rosario is a Tacoma Defiance player that has turned every head possible at the next MLS Pro level in Tacoma Defiance. He is the goal scorer. I think he has 9 goals in 5 games or something of that capability or of that sense. He's just killing it, right? He was at practice yesterday, looked very good, scored a couple of goals. His pressing was good. So I think that you will see him this weekend as, a temporary player. I don't think he's the solution moving forward. But for right now, Seattle's going to have to figure out a way to play without Jordan Morris while he gets completely better.
And you look at the younger players that are active, whether they're coming up through Defiance, because you mentioned Kosa Rienzi. We've been looking at Paul Rothrock for the last couple of seasons, and now you bring in a player like Musovsky and you give him a chance to show what the promise has been in other places. It's like, okay, so we've seen him down in LA. We know what Musovsky can do. When you look at the younger players, who is are they integrating at the right speed right now with what Brian Schmetzer wants them to do through match week 10 with the younger guys? Are they where you would anticipate they would be when it comes to learning the system and being a part of things?
I think that they're beyond it. I honestly think that KKR, as they call him, Kalani Kosa Rienzi, I think he's pushing Alex for a starting spot. And I'm glad you brought it up because we asked Brian about this. We talked to Alex. Alex, although he said all the right things, I see something different in his face. He's got to be annoyed at the fact that he got injured. And now he's got to figure out if he's going to get his position back because Kalani has been lights out. He understands the game. He's got a couple of assists. And physically, he's so dominant. I mean, the dude looks like he benches 250. I mean, he's ripped and he has an engine and he's hungry and he gets up and down that flank like no one's business. So he's been great. Paul Rothrock has upped his game. He's elevated what used to be just vibes and effort and runs. Now he is polished a little more. He has been able to find what he needs to do better when he pinches inside. Looking for the next pass, not rushing, just going end line and just putting across through. He's cutting inside. He's looking to where he's gonna be able to link up and maybe commit, maybe push back a little. I mean, he has found the game, in my opinion, to be a lot easier. Even he said it a little bit. He talked about some of the improvements he's had on that part of the field. Uh, a guy like Obed Vargas. We talked to him as well because at 19 years old, he just hit his 100th professional game, right? His appearance, that a huge momentum and milestone for a kid of his age. And he's another player that has been consistently good. And it's way beyond where he should be for his age, for the way he came up through Tacoma Defiance and the academy and everything. So when it comes to the young guys, that's where Seattle, I think, is getting most buck for their money or most push for their money because they're able to have a sustainable system that is bringing all these kids that are providing you depth, and now not just depth, but they're providing you playmakers and starters that are pushing other starters to realize that, hey man, if you're not out here, if you're not putting 110%, you're going to see yourself in the bench.
All right. And so, since we are on our roll talking about Seattle, Seattle's one of the three late games on Saturday. All caps come to town, otherwise known as St. Louis City SC. You're a minus 192. 90-minute draws a plus 313, and St. Louis on the road is a plus 515. What do you think?
Whew. I love that draw. Love that draw. I'll tell you that. Look, St. Louis is a team that's hard to beat, hard to break down. Not necessarily in display against LAFC because they had a lot of bad moments actually in that game. LAFC should have won that one, to be honest, and they were unable to do so. But this is a team that likes to play deep block. They're going to overpopulate the prime assistance zones for the opposition. They're not going to allow you to get to those positions. They are I believe, second team with the least amount of possession. So they're going to concede completely the ball to Seattle and allow them to move it horizontally, but not vertically. So how do you break that down? Uh, I think that Seattle's going to have to take a lot of mid-range shots. I think that they're going to have to be really quick in their triangles. And when they get to the flanks, maybe internalizing a little bit of those moments and not just putting crosses into the 18, because that's where St. Louis, I think, is going to benefit from. Uh, however, you
However,
got to make sure that you're careful with when they occasionally press. They don't do it often, but Seattle, if anything that was evident against Colorado is that without Jackson Reagan, there's some real issues coming out of the back. Kim Kihei, we talked about how good he's done, but he is a player that I don't want to call him limited. That's unfair, but he's a different old school type of center back. So he wasn't coming out easy. Yemer Gomez Andrade had probably the worst game of his, I don't want to say his career with MLS with the Sounders, but let's just call it the worst game he's had this season. I thought New wasn't particularly great coming out of the back. So you have some issues. Make sure that you don't allow St. Louis to get an easy goal. And then they're just going to park the bus. They might park a semi back there and not let you through. So Seattle's got to be mindful of we got to control the tempo of the game. We got to control possession, but we got to be effective when we do get those chances and not allow St. Louis to get even a goal or even get any confidence in this one.
because
However, I
yeah,
do like the draw. I do
okay,
like the draw.
Plus 313, because yes, I would imagine if All Caps ends up with the early lead, they're going to go and find those Princess Cruise liners that are out there in Puget Sound doing the Alaska tours, and it'll be like, "Yo, fam, we need you over here," and they'll just sit there and it'd be like, be like the Love Boat camping out. All right, with our buddy Nico Moreno, as we always do, we play cliffhanger like the old Price is Right, Price is Right game, where I roll through a lot of the games, and if Nico wants to say something about them, then he says something about them, and then we keep going. I'm going to save Atlanta and Nashville to the end. 4:30, so translates into 4:40. Toronto hosting the Revs. You probably could do a lot better with your time looking at something in another country or another matchup entirely. Toronto is favored at a plus 125. Also, you have 4 early starts. CF Montreal at home at Stade Saputo, traditionally a tough place to play. That's $1 in the jar. CF Montreal a plus 158 hosting Philadelphia Union. I like the draw in that one just because Union is a far better team, but you're going to Stade Saputo. Columbus and Charlotte. Columbus at home is a minus 152, draws a plus 292. Charlotte is a plus 396. And all we heard out of Charlotte this week was Wilf Zaha on Snapchat basically saying, "Get off my back." And head coach Dean Smith sitting there and yelling at the officials in Major League Soccer. Well, Dean Smith and Wilf Zaha, welcome to the pressures that are associated with being a club that has high expectations in Major League Soccer. What do you think about this one?
I don't like that one little bit. By the way, I feel like a guy with the trajectory of Saha should know how to deal better with this sort of situation. He's got a lot of pressure in the entirety of his career. Why is he over there, going back and forth with a fan in the middle of a game? Like, just center yourself, do your thing, and stop talking about yourself in third person. Saha this, Saha that. Come on, man. Let's get it together. Let's play some soccer. I don't like this at all. I feel like it is a unnecessary interruption and something that the team doesn't need lingering above it. I like Columbus in this one. Don't like the numbers necessarily, but I do want to look at the compost because I do feel like this might be a battle there that might go 3-2 for Columbus.
Okay, so we go to the totals and we start at 4.5. 4.5 is a plus 370. 5.5 is a plus 775. So if you're thinking shootout, probably that 4.5 number to plus 370 would be where you might want to go.
Give me Columbus in the 4.5. We did really well with the goals last week. I got to tell you that it was a good one. That Portland game really set me up nicely. So yes, let me get the goals and let me get Columbus.
Yeah, I was going back and forth. I'll break the fourth wall here. I was going back and forth with Nico when the game went crazy in the second half, and I'm like, man, you just need one more, and you got your total. 5 minutes later, it happens.
There it is.
So it's like, there it is. DC and Colorado at 730, 740. I think you can do better at a minus 102. Messi and Friends and Red Bulls at the Erector Set in South Florida. Messi and Friends are a minus 159 coming out of Champions Cup. Draws a plus 311. Red Bulls almost a plus 400.
Whew. Look, I would love to say when it rains, it pours, but that 400 just turned me off completely. I would say that the draw there would be another good bet. I don't feel like Inter Miami is gonna do much of a exposing their best players after they just got eliminated. But obviously, the wear and tear of everything they just did in CCC, I'll say that they'll probably play it safe, rotate completely. Probably will see a lineup closer to what you saw against Dallas. But New York Red Bulls is another type of dog. They're not going to let you in the game. They're going to limit what you do. They're going to take advantage of the players that right now are not playing so great for Inter Miami, like Agenda. So I just feel like this is going to be a good draw for you.
Well, and looking at the totals, looking at the goals, plus 1.5 is a 520 is a minus 522. So 2.5 is a minus 155. 3.5 is where it turns. Well, basically it turns at 3, but 3.5 over at 3.5 is a plus 156. So they don't think there's going to be a whole lot of goals either.
Nope.
All right, so we will continue rolling on through all of the 8:30s. You got Austin and Minnesota United, Austin's favored at a plus 149. Chicago and Orlando, basically the same thing. Literally, Chicago favored at home at a plus 147. San Diego and FC Dallas. San Diego's a minus 139. Draws a plus 282. Dallas on the road a plus 355. Vancouver hosting RSL, minus 159 at home. RSL's a plus 290, and RSL is a plus 426.
Well, that's an interesting one because look, that was another one that we hit on last week was RSL. I see an RSL team that is starting to figure things out. Diego Luna is playing like he's him. That is his team. He has, without a doubt, put this team on his shoulders. I love the fact that he's chirping. He's just being Diego Luna. I feel like even Diogo and the rest of this team is starting to really play at his movement. So in this one against a Vancouver team that they have to shut down the engines at some point. They have to shut down the engines at some point so they don't overheat this boat. So I'm gonna go with RSL on this one. Uh, I like the numbers. I like the setup. Give me RSL.
Okay. Late games, LAFC favored big against Houston at home. San Jose is favored on the plus side at 104, hosting Portland at a plus 237. Seattle, we talked about that one. Sunday, NYC hosting FC Cincinnati. They're favored at the U12 pitch. I guess it's at Yankee Stadium. I don't know if it's at Yankee or City, but either way, it's a U12 pitch, and they're at a plus 122. FC Cincinnati is a dog at a plus 209 going into wherever playpen they're going into. And the late game, SNS has Sporting Kansas City at a plus 100, hosting LAG. LAG's at a plus 249. And so, of course, that leads us to Atlanta and Nashville. Atlanta favored at a plus 112, draws a plus 250, and Nashville is a plus 234.
Oh man, I did not want to talk about Atlanta today. The way that they just had a dud against Orlando, not a shot. This is a team that had no character, showed no response. Uh, this was a Orlando team that had not scored a goal in 230 plus minutes, and you allowed them to score three on you. All easy, simple goals that not a lot of pressure or somewhat some pressure. You just boost that ball out. Marco gets it on top of the 18. Nobody immediately pressures him. He's able to just look up, drink some coffee, tweet, hashtag I'm going to score, and he just puts it in the back of the net. It just was not a good look for Atlanta. So in this one against a BJ Callahan team that is coming from a ridiculous scoreline. That thing got way out of hand. I do feel like the way they handle the ball, the way that they control momentum is going to be complicated for Atlanta. And just to get them off their funk, maybe if I choose Nashville, I'm going to jinx it and they will win. So I'm going to go with Nashville. I think this will be a high score line. So what is the Compos on goals telling you? I only said that because Serge is feeling himself. I feel like they're playing very direct. And with the issues that Atlanta has had at simply handling balls over the top and coming out of the back, I just want to see the goal line there.
2.5 is a minus 162. It turns at 3. 3.5 is plus 145.
3.5 seems like a decent bet if you want to just add it on. But I'll take Nashville. I'll take the 3.5. But man, Atlanta's got to figure it out. I mean, I am concerned. This is the team that I thought was going to be fighting for the Shield. And right now, worst start in their history. Worse than that, they just seem to have no answers. Ronnie Dyler's got to be, he's got to be on fire. And I hate to say because he just got there, but you cannot allow your team to look this unresponsive for this amount of time and not feel like your job isn't on the line.
Yep. So we'll see what happens with Atlanta and Nashville. What's going on with Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart?
Of course, as always, this week we're going to have some things going on today. So check YouTube for the Pulso Sports because Jesus Ferreira has not been practicing with the team. I don't know if it's more of they're just limiting him or if there's an injury there. With already the Jordan Morris news, this is not great. So we're going to go into Providence and Swedish PCC, and we're going to figure out what's going on. Brian's message should talk today about two things. The images that came off blurry, and now they have new evidence of what's going on with Jordan Morris and then what's going on with Jesus Ferreira, and hopefully it's not something worse. So wait for that information. YouTube, Pulso Sports, like, share, help us out, join the family. Fridays, of course, as always, we're going to do Jeremiah Shan and I's what we learned this week. Lots to talk about, of course. We'll probably have Brad Evans if he can make some time for us, former MLS captain, of course, for the Seattle Sounders. A great guy, still working with the organization. That should be fun. So go ahead and check that out. And of course, on Monday, as always, kickoff Love and Scorchers. Where we just set it up, and hopefully we get to talk about what happened over the weekend, as well as who is going to eventually be facing Vancouver in the final, because we have been talking about CCC on Love and Scorchers. So go ahead and check that out.
As always, my friend, great to see you on Thursday to get the breakdown of everything going on in Major League Soccer from there on the left coast. Congratulations, and may all the traffic to the Palouse be as safe as humanly possible. Pullman and back. As always, my friend, great to see you. Love you very much. We'll catch up with you next week.
You the man, John.